Can I explain something really, really, really quickly, by the way? There are a lot of people in my community who don't seem to understand the coconut analogy, which is really frustrating for me. I actually had a guy at Freer Future Fest come up to me with questions about like the intent and the ability of the coconut island analogy to like address some concerns vis-a-vis capitalism, and a lot of them involved an understanding that he didn't that they apparently he'd heard like a bad version of this. So like, let me talk with this about you guys, okay? The point of the coconut, I'll repeat it in case you haven't heard it, okay? The idea is that your plane, a plane you're on, crash lands on a desert island, okay? And you wake up to find that somebody else on that plane, the only other survivor, woke up before you. That person who woke up before you has gathered all the coconuts on the island, the only available food source. Keep in mind that this is a hypothetical, or I guess it's sort of an analogy, really, but it's the only available food source on the island. Okay, so anyway, you wake up, you need to eat or drink because coconuts can let you do both. And the guy has all the coconuts, and he says he'll share some with you if you suck his dick. The question is that a free transaction? Is that a transaction that you are making freely? Okay. Now, I want to be perfectly clear. Okay, this is the best hypothetical ever delivered to illustrate a political point, but it's important to understand what it can and can't do. Okay, this hypothetical does not defeat capitalism. Apparently, there are people in chat or people in my community who seem to believe that this hypothetical invalidates capitalism or something like that. That's not what it's about. It invalidates the idea of free trade, of free transactions. It invalidates the idea of, acting out of mutual self-interest when there's a power imbalance between two people or two groups, or when one group has access to a necessary commodity and the other group doesn't. That's what it's about fundamentally. It's not about defeating capitalism. It's about indicating there's no way. Because the coconut analogy, as far as I can tell on my stream, I first said it while talking with an anarcho-capitalist, right? Kokesh, a former libertarian presidential candidate. The thing that frustrates me when I talk with right libertarians is they make the argument that when you say, for example, when you when you buy something from a company, okay, fine, excuse me. That was before I was even streaming. That was before I streamed. Whenever you buy something from a company or get a job or whatever, that is a free exchange. Like it's something you're doing entirely of your own volition. There's no coercion involved. In reality, there absolutely is, because, of course, in our society, you need to work or you live a meager existence, assuming you don't have any trust fund money stored away somewhere. Um, that's the example, okay? It's an argument against the idea that there can really be non-coercive free exchanges, okay? In reality, coercion is present in virtually every interaction between people to varying extents, okay? So, for example, I would say that if you have a friend who doesn't get out that much and is feeling a little bit lonely, and you ask them if they can drive you to do an errand, there is an element of coercion in that exchange. It seems odd because it's like you're a friend asking something freely of a friend. You're not threatening them or anything, but there is an implicit threat to them, a threat against their feeling of social well-being that you are leveraging unintentionally or intentionally to secure some favor from them. It's a mutually beneficial transaction, but it's one where people are going in with slightly different investments in what might or might not take place. Every exchange, every interaction has the potential to be at least somewhat coercive, okay? Including work under socialism. Guys, do you not think even if you abolished money and like work, there would not still be a social pressure to perform labor for the benefit of society? You don't think there would be something a little bit coercive about, even if you're on a commune or something, like there would absolutely be a coercive element to you know, you have to perform some degree of work or you might get socially ostracized, even if there's no real threat against you, even if all of your material needs are paid for or taken care of on their own. Coercion is always present, okay? The argument I'm making with the island is just that it's impossible to remove it entirely, okay? Now, if a person argues that it would be ethical in that situation where they're gatekeeping the coconuts behind fellatio, the best thing you could do is to like bludgeon them over the head and steal their coconuts. That would be an argument in favor of proletarian revolution. What you're essentially arguing is that if a necessary interaction is exploitative or coercive enough, you have the right to use violence to seize whatever commodities you need, whatever systems you need, in order to mitigate that threat, to eliminate that coercive element. So that's a fun little side position there. But yeah. Um, anyway, please just keep this in mind, okay? Because I've had too many conversations with people through DMs, emails, in person who have been like, but in socialism, wouldn't there still be coercion? Yes, of course there would be, okay? Now, I think it would be much less. I think lessening the coercive element is essential. I think that improves things significantly, but and it's a worthwhile endeavor. Lessen it. What if there are no resources on the island? It's just you two. Well, then you can die. I don't know. I don't know. Um, I don't know. It's a pretty difficult one right there. For me to answer. I don't know if there's a solution to that necessarily. Anyway, do you all understand now? Good, good. Okay, thank you. That's the point of the analogy. Okay, it's not anti-capitalist. It's pro acknowledging the coercive element in transactions when there are power imbalances between two entities. Okay, thank you very kindly.